When we talk about holidays, we cannot get out of talking about our family and our parents, the extended family. And this lies close to my heart because I just know so many people who have been estranged from their parents, who just have incredibly awkward and strained relationship with their parents. And it's terrible when you can actually see it unfold from the outside and kind of see how both parties are kind of right and kind of wrong, and how it just ends up in this disaster where everybody seems to be incredibly unhappy. So, for example, like there are families where, like some of my clients know incredibly upset with their parents because, like, when they go on holidays together, where the parents are just feeding the kids sweets and they're feeding the kids whatever they want, and they're kind of having this battle of, I let my kids do this and now you're interfering. There's fights with the parents about, or maybe just you don't tell your parents, but you kind of get dragged on these trips that you don't really want to go to anymore. And then you feel all this resentment. Maybe that's something around money, or your parents just tend to interfere a lot in your life in general. That's kind of what I see with my clients and how I can see in friends and my own family as well. People get estranged. So what's missing here, and why people end up having these fights and ending up just kind of get separated from their parents? Of course, obviously, if your parents are psycho and violent, then that's different, but kind of a normal within normal family routines and kind of works. What's really missing here is clear boundaries. And this doesn't mean that you need to teach your parents what to do and how to behave. But there's a process that you need to go through where you first need to find out like what you really want to accept and what you don't want to accept. And that doesn't mean you can be a bit flexible here and there. You don't need to be like completely like like this rule set on that's it forever strict, but you do need to be honest with yourself. Like, what do you really want to accept and what is not acceptable coming from your parents regarding you, your partner, your kids, like whether they come and visit, whatever it is that might make it really awkward and strain this holiday because you just seem to go through these same patterns and they don't seem to respect you. It might be because you have actually not found out deep within yourself what is acceptable and what is not, right? And then once you have found what your boundaries are, you can communicate them to your parents or you cannot communicate them. So I like to compare this, like when there's something really obvious, for example, I will not accept anybody like slapping me. So I don't go around telling everybody, I will not accept you slapping me. If you slap me, you shall leave the room, right? That's just kind of things we assume. But if it's something that your parents cannot easily assume and you think they should know, but they don't, then you need to communicate it, because otherwise they're just going to keep doing the same old thing they've been doing for like 40, 60 years. Like, why would they change if you don't actually communicate it in a clear manner? So first, find out with yourself what you want to accept and what you don't want to accept. Find out where the line goes, and then communicate it. And you need to communicate what the consequence is. For example, if you feed my kid sweets when I have told you not to, then you're not allowed to see my kid, right? Or I will have to register your car when you get here and eliminate all the sweets, or whatever the consequence is going to be if they overstep the boundaries. You communicate that really quick, really clearly, and then you need to follow through. You can't say, if please don't feed my kids sweets. I've told you not to feed my kids sweets. Like, why are you feeding my kids sweets? No, that's just going to go in through one ear and out through another. You need to communicate a clear boundary, and then you need to follow through with the consequence that you have decided, right? A good way of saying that it's nothing personal and kind of letting them know that this is just something you've decided for the best of everyone is saying, look, mom and dad, I love you, and no. Right? So it's not that you're trying to start a fight. It's not that you have anything against them or who they are, but there's this specific thing that you have a clear boundary around. Did you hear Peter the pheasant? Like, Bruce is in love with him. I swear to God, he's so noisy. Sorry. So you can say, I love you, I want to be with you, and no, this is not acceptable. Or I don't want to go on this trip specifically every year. Whatever your thing is that you get mad with them about. And also, you really need to let them be who they are. You cannot change your parents. I have not known anybody who could change their parents. If I knew how to coach someone to change their parents, I would be a very, very rich woman. I would be standing on a yacht right now, right? So let them be who they are. Like they're going to have flaws. They're going to have like these fixed ideas that you don't agree with, but they're not going to be in on all the things that are new and, you know, the technology and all the like different genders and that. Parents just don't, some of them just don't, they just don't like, and let them have the wrong assumptions about who you are and what you want. They're going to assume they have this idea in their head, right? Like this little kid, this lovely little girl or boy that you were, and they're going to have this idea fixed in their head that they think you're like this, and you don't need to change that, right? You can let them be who they are with the ideas and the wrong assumptions about you, and just let it be, right? As long as you have your clear boundaries of what you will do and not do when they're around, or what you're going to allow them to do towards you or your children. That's the important thing. Of course, if they make comments, for example, if they tell your kids something, like I have a client where for some odd reason, her parents didn't want her kid to go swimming. So they kept telling her how dangerous the pool was, so the kid got scared of the pool. And that could be a clear boundary. No, I would not have you tell my kids these things. If you tell her these things and I know she's got, you're just not going to be allowed to see her anymore, because it's just not my idea of what's ideal for a kid. So if listening to this, you notice that a lot coming up when you think about this and you're like, oh my God, this is happening all the time, but I wouldn't know how to tell them. I don't even know exactly where my boundary go. Then reach out for a free coaching session with me, because I can help you. I'll help you find out what you would really like your boundaries to be, like where they are, and also like how to implement them in the best way possible, so you don't end up being this estranged family where nobody speaks to each other. Okay. Have a great holiday. Love you guys.